Ladies and gentlemen, the Right Call Podcast. Welcome to the podcast that gets thousands upon thousands upon thousands of views on Instagram. We don't get thousands upon thousands of views on YouTube.
We don't.
Or on TikTok. We used to on TikTok. We don't anymore. I don't know what they do with the algorithm.
The algo changed a bit.
Oh, it definitely changed.
It always did.
Yeah.
It's chasing the algo, but on
Yeah.
Insta, we're ripping.
Yeah, because we used to have like TikTok used to be like, oh man, we're getting tons of views on TikTok. And then on Instagram it was like womp womp. And now we have views where it's on Instagram, it's popping off, but on TikTok it's womp womp. Yeah.
I know.
So
The interesting thing though with Insta is that when you share a reel to Insta, it also automatically shares to Facebook. So we actually reach an audience of boomers along the line, which is good. That's what you want.
dude, I gotta we were talking about this today actually. So for our KBD content stuff on Facebook, I'm like, okay, there's a lot of noise because you have Rumble, you have X, you have TikTok, you have Snapchat, you have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have YouTube, there's so many platforms to go after. And I'm like, you know what, man, let's just kind of double down on Facebook, on Meta, we should call it. What I like about Facebook, it's very similar to Google in the sense that there's like that ecosystem has multiple platforms within it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and I got rid of Instagram, I got rid of TikTok, I got rid of a lot of these apps, but like I always keep one of them. So I kept Facebook on. I was on the Facebook app just cruising around on it, and I'm like, damn, this app got a lot better. The mobile app got way better versus
For sure.
2 years ago, I would say.
It's kind of funny because we all started on actually we started on MySpace. Remember MySpace?
I remember MySpace.
I remember Tom being everyone's friend.
Yeah.
That guy is like the hero we all need. He started a platform. He was not like trying to push any political bullshit.
No.
He just let people be friends. And then one day he was offered, I think, a $500 million buyout. He took it. He disappeared.
I would have taken that too.
He just disappeared. You don't hear about him. He's just like, I wanted life. That's it.
Yeah.
You know?
I wonder what he's doing now.
He's probably enjoying a margarita somewhere.
Yeah,
man.
either that or he died of a drug overdose.
Yeah, could also have happened. I know.
But anyways, all right, welcome to the Right Call Podcast today. So we got a couple stuff that we're going to cover. We're going to talk about the CPP, so the CPP, the Canadian Pension Plan. Very interesting some news coming out of there. And everything that we've been hammering seems to be coming true. Bond crisis. So I'm going to explain to you guys what's going on in the bond market. I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. I do like to cover the financial news, and you're probably like, oh my God, we're listening to like an economist. Not that I am an economist, but just I don't want to talk about bonds. This does have a big impact on Canada and the debt and the West, for that matter, and austerity. I definitely want to touch on energy and its influence on AI infrastructure. So Elon Musk said something very, very interesting this past week with regards to the fact that he's concerned that the United States is going to run out of energy to power these data centers. And if they power the data centers, that's not good because we're not going to win the AI race. We, as in the United States. And the United States right now are in a race with China. China is just behind the United States. Anyways, that's the what the Western news is saying. So maybe it's true, maybe it isn't. But if we run out of power to power these data centers, that's not good because China's going to go ahead of us. And if they go ahead of us in the AI war, no bueno.
They win at everything because AI is sure military and defense. It's economics. It's governmental. It's control. It's power.
International influence. It's, I mean, yeah,
everything.
Yeah. It's not good.
I mean, we can liken it a little bit to being the first mover advantage on nuclear energy. Yeah. The U.S. became the world's dominant power thanks to being the first to develop the atomic bomb.
That's how World War II stopped.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, if China wins the AI race, the ramifications are probably even bigger than nuclear energy.
Yeah. Just a little tangent here. So I was listening to the All In podcast, and David Sachs, who's in on the Trump cabinet now, on the Trump team or whatever it's called. And so they were asking the question, like, who is actually in charge of AI policy during the Biden era? And he's like, it was literally a team of like 6 lawyers who had never worked in Silicon Valley who were basically like underwriting all the policies. And it's like they all just start laughing. He's like, yeah, this is what it was like under the Biden policy. They had no idea what they're doing. They weren't tech people.
Yeah.
They didn't have any understanding what it was. And so one of the things that they would do is, so he's talking about Saudi Arabia. So Donald Trump was just down in Saudi Arabia. And he's like, look, you might agree or disagree with all the stuff that's going on in the Middle East, but right now we want them to use our tech stack and not China's tech stack so that they can become reliant on America. You don't want to be, because if you stop selling chips to the Middle East, Well, they're not just going to roll over and go, oh, well, I guess we can't develop AI. They're going to go get the chips from somewhere else.
Absolutely.
And where are they going to go get the chips? From China. And what's going to happen if they get the chips from China? They're going to have a closer relationship with China. So it's like a lot of people, they just always have this understanding. They go, well, it's not right for, you know what, I don't want Iran to be using AI chips because, and that, you know what, that's a fair argument. But you have to look at the whole entire picture. And the whole entire picture is essentially that you have to deal with the reality and deal with the deck of cards that you're dealt with. And if you're not going to be giving these guys chips, well, they're just going to go get it from somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's the cat's out of the bag, right?
Yes.
Honestly, there's parallels to be made with something a little bit weird, but I'll bring it up nonetheless. It's like firearms, all right? Look, we can all agree, Canada, the US, the world would be better off if guns did not exist, all right? But they do. They exist. So now you have two choices.
Correct.
You can either, teach people how to use them and regulate them properly and put a framework around it and be in charge, or you can just say, fuck it, it's banned. And if it's banned completely, then you know what happens? Only the bad motherfuckers have guns. I mean, look at it anywhere in the world. Countries with the strictest gun laws have sometimes some of the most and highest amounts of shootings. And
cities in the U.S. with the strictest gun laws
absolutely.
have the most. I mean, take Chicago, for example. Chicago has some of the strictest gun laws in all of the United States, and they have the highest homicide rates as well.
There is a interesting paradox about gun ownership, especially so in the U.S., I think the county with the most concealed carry permits is Sarasota County, the place that I used to live.
Florida, baby.
In Florida, babe. Yeah.
Florida!
Fuck, I love Florida.
Taylor Swift song.
I miss Florida right now, especially with this weather we've been having. But
I know, yeah.
Sarasota County is, in terms of violent crime and just overall crime rate, I think the lowest in the U.S. Sure, mind you, it's a very rich county. I'm not going to hide. Okay? It's like it's fucking very well off.
Yeah, of course.
But guess what? Adding guns to the mix doesn't make it unsafe. I remember I was at Chipotle like a few years ago, and I'm just in line waiting for my burrito bowl. And then next to me, I see this guy, cool looking guy. You know what I mean? Fucking strapped. You can see his gun on his waist. I'm like, oh man, I don't feel unsafe. I'm like, if some shit happens right now, this guy's there. I don't have to wait for a cop. Yeah, no, for sure.
I agree. Well, it's the same thing like in Texas. Like if you go to, again, I'm not a gun owner. I know you are a gun owner, but it's like I'd like to get a gun. But
I'll bring you shooting.
If I'd love to.
Have you ever gone?
I've shot a gun before,
okay,
yeah.
Cool.
But it's like, but if you're in Texas and there's a good chance that the person you're going to get into a conflict with has a gun, you're going to think twice before saying something stupid or doing something because there's going to be consequences.
There's a saying in the U.S., especially in Texas, an armed society is a polite society, all right? Look, listen, if people are equal in power, you don't have big heads, right? It keeps people cooler. And I use this argument too with girls because a lot of times it's mostly on the girl side. They get a little scared of guns, like, I don't want to fucking shoot or it's dangerous, whatever. And I say, okay, look, listen. And I know this is a huge tangent, but may as well real chit chat about that real quick. But a girl comes around and it's like, okay, you're walking the street late at night and this big fucking 300-pound motherfucker wants to have his way with you or like, I don't know, rob you or just kidnap you, whatever. I don't care how much Muay Thai, how much BJJ, how much Krav Maga, this guy's having his way with you. There's no ifs or buts. The balance of power is on his side. However, if you're armed, if the girl is armed, it doesn't matter if you're a 90-pound tiny little girl or some big butch freaking, it doesn't matter. Now you have the balance of power.
It's the great equalizer.
And then they always say the same thing. Yeah, but what if the guy also has a gun then? Hey, I'm in danger. I'm like, no, now you're even. You're equal. Congratulations. You're even instead of being at a traumatic disadvantage. Anyway, so AI is the same thing.
And just to add on to that too, there was this, I always forget the UFC fighter's name, but he's like, he was in the UFC in Brazil, was on a fight, ready, like in his prime. Yeah. And he was in Brazil on a bike and someone pulled a gun on him. He's like, dude, when someone pulls a gun on you, he's like, I froze. UFC, he's like, one-on-one with no weapons, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. Like that guy's going to go to fight. He's going to fight. His wife was there too. 10 out of 10 times you're going to win. And basically said the gun was pulled. He's like, you think you're going to do something about it. He's like, I froze. Yeah. Because he's like, you're going to kill me.
For sure.
So it's like, anyway, that's a whole different...
But the tension with that is that, look, AI is the cat's out of the bag, right?
Yes.
AI exists. It's here to stay. So we have two choices. We can be either we're going to be or run for supremacy over AI and dictate the policy and put in place a framework that is safe for humanity, that is beneficial for humanity as much as possible. Because I do think the U.S. is good. I don't think they're holy, but I do think they're good. Or we're going to let an adversary like China with questionable morals and a very authoritarian government in place utilize it for their advantage.
I don't think it's unfair to say that the Chinese Communist Party, I don't think it's unfair to say that they're considered dangerous at this point. I don't think it's controversial to say that.
Well, I mean, when you are one of the world's richest men, Jack Ma, a billionaire, and even though you're a billionaire, you're still kidnapped and disappeared for 3 months.
Because you spoke up against the government.
Yeah,
and the government's essentially saying, like, when you're not allowed to do that, we're going to show you who's boss.
And it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are. If you get disappeared, right? Let's call it that. He was made to disappear for 3 months, reappeared out of nowhere, and then his only public appearance since, it was him just saying, I apologize. The government is good. I should have never said that. I wasn't feeling well. I'm good now. And that's it. I mean, imagine Alibaba, one of the biggest company in the world, lost their CEO and I think their chairman overnight and did not know where the he was for 3 months. Nobody at the company knew where he was. That's how little regard the CCP has for anything.
Well, because they're the ones and they walk up and they say, we're in charge.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, we'll get to the AI a little bit later, but the AI, I mean, I had a whole entire, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, I had a whole entire AI weekend just saying, just like I taught myself SEO. So I'm like, you know what, I got to lean into this, not from a humanity perspective, more from a business perspective. I'm just like, hey, this is something that I should probably understand or at least have a good grasp on if I'm going to optimize the business.
For sure.
And there's a lot of ways. I mean, Shamar and I were actually playing around with this, like the Gemini, and Google had a massive update product. There's a lot of noise in the AI, but I mean, if you guys have an opportunity to teach yourselves AI, I suggest you do it. But here, we're getting off topic here. Let's jump into this. So, number one, and one of the themes that we're constantly hammering on, and by the way, next Tuesday we're going to be filming some content about. I'm really, you know what? I'm not even going to say it, but we're going to film some interesting content, and I purchased a GPS tracker because I want to actually see where some stuff goes with regards to city services. That's all I'm going to say for now.
We're going 007.
Yeah, we're going to go 007. yeah. Shaken, not stood. But it all ties into the net zero, the DE, not so much DEI, but net zero, ESG, all that kind of jazz. And so the CPP, the Canadian Pension Plan. So something that's really interesting that just popped up. And I was actually very happy to see this. Very happy. So the Canadian Pension Plan, they manage $700 billion of assets for Canadians. So essentially, when you're going to go take your pension, you're going to retire, you want to get your money, Canadians are going to receive money from the Canadian Pension Plan. Now, all that money that's in this pot, let's call it, it's obviously invested. So it's invested in, certain stocks and other companies. So in 2022, they pledged to align their investments with net zero initiatives by 2050. I don't know all of the details, but they were essentially saying, hey, by 2050, we're going to have X amount that are going to be in net zero initiatives. Well, guess what happened? So they recently had some legal developments, we'll call it. And Elliot, so what is the fiduciary duty of an investment fund? What's rule number one of an investment fund, Elliot?
You're supposed to have the client's best interest at heart.
Okay, but on top of that, and their best interest at heart, if I'm investing money with you, what's that best interest at heart?
Don't embezzle the funds.
There's that, but it's also, I have a fiduciary responsibility to give you the highest return I can possibly seek.
Yes.
Right? So
according to your investment strategy.
Yes. So the CPP were, I think, running into some legal trouble where I think some people were basically saying, hey, you're supposed to be returning the highest percentage possible, not investing in these net zero initiatives. If a net zero initiative is going to give me 5% and this stock over here is going to give me 10%, well, I want you to put it into the 10%. So all of this to say, the CPP decided quietly, they didn't directly say, oh, by the way, we're not doing net zero stuff anymore. They just said, hey, due to recent legal developments, we're not going to be pursuing this net zero initiative anymore because Well, my hypothesis would be that the net zero initiative stocks were not giving as high as a return as other parts of the world.
That's the thing that's so annoying. It's this activism, right?
Yes.
Look, if you're investing your own money, there are activist funds, all right? Or there's like specialty funds like halal funds, for example, or DEI RAND funds, or green or whatever, equitable funds. You can choose. There's plenty of those, right? But we don't have a choice with that money. Our money is being taken at gunpoint, literally,
yes.
right? So as such, at least, don't be a fucking activist with that money, man.
But and this being said, and I'm actually going to go, and I know you're still, we're not on the same page. And you know what? This makes for good radio. This makes for a good podcast because so last week I was upset. I'm like, damn it, we got fleeced. And this week I'm actually of the opinion, and again, maybe I'm wrong. I'm speculating. I am of the opinion that I think we are turning a page. And I was very happy to see the CPP, the Canadian Pension Plan, say, you know what? We're going to abandon this net zero stuff. We're going to go out and we're going to try and get as best return as possible, regardless of where the stocks are. But our fiduciary duty right now is to get the highest return for Canadian pensioners.
I know, but they failed tremendously. They fell epically at it. I mean, I have numbers here. Okay, I know you wanted to talk about like the net zero with the CPP, QPP,
sure,
but
I'd love to hear
I have a bone to pick with the QPP and the CPP. And I'm saying, just so people understand, in Quebec we have our own fund. It's called the Quebec Pension Plan, right? I'm gonna get on this. I hate this shit so much because, dude, every goddamn paycheck. Yeah, and you know this as an employer. Not only do you personally pay 5.5% into it every fucking paycheck, but on top of that, your company has to also pay 5.5% into it to your employees, right? Yeah. It's like you're responsible for their fucking retirement. Yeah. And same thing with the CPP. Now, it's so insolvent, for real. It's going insolvent that they have CPP 1 and CPP 2. So you have 2 levels of contribution now because they need more money. Well, step number one thing, and we spoke about this in the past, but that was a while ago. I want to fucking dig in. It's going to take 5 minutes. I'm going to rip it. It's going to make a great clip.
I'm all ears, baby.
All right, good. Well, first of all, we don't have access to our fucking money. All right, look, let me get this straight. I'll end with the easiest part. Okay?
I can't get access to it on Wealthsimple?
Nah, man. Nah. Look, in short, the CPP or the QPP here. So if I understand this correctly, it's my fucking money, except I can't fucking check the fucking account balance.
Tell us how you really feel.
Or fucking borrow against it, or use a fucking collateral, or use it as collateral, or fucking leave it to my kids, or fucking touch it until I'm 67, sorry. So think of it. It's like paying 5.5% of your income for 50-ish years for effectively a life insurance policy that names the fucking government as a death beneficiary. Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah. So my issue with the CPP, QPP is that, one, you can't touch that money, right? Let's say you have a business that you want to invest in. You want to take out some money to go on vacation. I don't know. You're going to die. Let's say you have cancer and you just want to take that money and go for one last huge spin. Or I don't know, you want to invest in an idea, or you want to pay your children's education.
You want to go in like a strip club and coke bender.
Which is your money. You can do what the fuck you want, right? I'm not the one to judge.
I'm kidding, by the way.
But still, you can't touch that money. That's number one. Yeah. Okay. Number two, it underperforms the market, but a lot. Not like, oh, you know what? Like it's nearly on par. No. In 2023, the CPP returned 6.8%. Yeah. Guess how much the fucking S&P 500 returned?
I think it was 16 or 18%.
24.2.
Yeah, there you go.
24.2 versus 6.8. Now, mind you, they're not invested in equities the same way because they have risk ratios they need to abide by. But still, this is a 4 times lower return. Yeah. But they do so. They return 4 times less while costing. How much was the CPP costing last year in management fees?
I don't know in management fees. I know the payroll wasn't the payroll like $700 million or something? I could be talking out my ass. So I'll let you answer the question.
In 2023, total admin expense was $1.7 billion. Total investment admin expense.
That's like salaries?
Yeah.
Okay.
Offices and like that really don't matter. And then investment expenses was $1.2 billion.
Jesus.
So for total cost, admin plus investment of $2.9 billion fucking dollars. That's money that's not going into the pot, compounding over decades and decades and decades to become trillions of dollars.
We could just take a page out of Nevada's book. We talked about this last time. The first state of Nevada, there's one guy, 2 people now. They just hired a second person and they invest in the S&P 500.
Absolutely.
That must be the easiest job in the world for that guy.
He sits down and he presses a button. Probably like once a month when he receives the money, he pushes a button.
Oh, S&P's now 5% today. Perfect. Bye.
On repeat. Which, by the way, side note, on an investment front, all right, dollar cost averaging, what this guy is probably doing, to be honest, is the proven best strategy to get the best returns.
I know. And if you actually, just to add to that, because the comment section is going to say, well, Elliot, you can't go off of a 1 year return, which is true. You can't go off of a 1 year return. But correct me if I'm wrong. I think here, I'm going to ask ChatGPT right now.
I got it right here.
Oh, you have it. So like,
look, I got the QPP. So for the QPP, because you're right. Okay, that was just 1 year return. All right. But I have the performance since inception. Right. So we can compare that.
And inception is?
Inception of the QPP. That was like in the 70s.
Decades. Okay, cool.
70s or 80s, I think. Okay. So the QPP has returned since inception 8.2% per year. Not bad.
Yeah.
Except the market has returned 12%. So I mean,
and they have all the overhead on top of that.
Yeah, but the QPP, the overhead is $500 million a year because it's a smaller fund.
But it's still not a passive fund. You know what I mean? Whereas if you go to the S&P 500, I mean, hindsight's 2020, but at the same time, I mean, there definitely is an argument to be made about the fact that QPP, CPP. There's a guy following TikTok. He said the same thing. He's kind of like, look at the Canadian pension plan, look at all the stuff, all these investments, look at all the people are paying, look at all the rent, the fancy buildings in Toronto, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then at the same time, just look at the S&P 500 over the past 100 years, it's averaged over 10% per year. 100 years, that's a pretty good track record. 100 years,
So all in all, that was just the fucking rant I wanted to go on because it grinds my gears like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
And the one thing I just can't wrap my head around is that when I die, all that money that I've contributed all my life doesn't go to my family, doesn't go to my estate. It goes to the government.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because it's kind of like it's a Ponzi scheme. The money's not actually there. It's like a lot of times when you go to a bank, if you ask for cash, I mean, the cash is probably not even there.
I love that. Last time I went to the bank, not last time, but I've been to the bank before to withdraw like $65,000, okay, in cash. They look at me like I'm fucking loco.
Yeah.
They're like, why? I'm like, because I want it in cash. You know, are you under duress? Like, for real, like, are you okay? Someone like scamming you?
My money.
I'm like, no, I just want that money. They're like, okay, well, you're gonna have to order it. I'm like, okay, I figured. I'm sure you guys don't have 65 grand in the fucking vault, which is, I don't know why you should, but whatever. They make you sign a bunch of disclaimers and forms and like release forms, basically saying that the second they give you the money, they're not responsible for it anyways. Okay, sure, so what? And they keep trying, like, you sure you don't want to cash your check? No, I want some fucking cash. Give me some fucking cash. Anyways, I hate the banks.
Yeah, well, that's the banks. And then, okay, so here. Right now, moving on next. Bond. There's not a bond crisis yet, but there's a bond crisis that's looming. So I'm going to try and keep this as simple as I possibly can. Long-term yields are rising across major economies. So Japan has had historically low interest rates over the past, let's call it 20 years, 30 years. They've been on this quantitative easing experiment. Japan just surged to 3.14% last week. The U.S. has a bond market auction. They just had a bond market auction. So basically this is how it works. So the government, when they need to get more money, there's two ways they can do it. I've said this before. They can either raise taxes or they can borrow the money. When they borrow the money, they have to issue bonds. So they'll issue the bonds. They're going to sell it to, I'm just saying this for the viewers. I'm not trying to lecture you, but it's just.
No, go ahead.
So it's like, so when they want to, so they're not going to raise taxes. And so they want to issue bonds. When they issue bonds, they're going to sell to the banks, and the banks are basically going to sell to the market. So essentially, they just had a bond market for treasuries, and it saw much, much, much weaker demand than they actually expected. And if what happens is, because there's an inverse relationship between interest rates and bond prices, so when demand goes down, the price of the bond goes down, which means that interest rates go up. So essentially, right now, what's brewing is the bond market is concerned with the amount of debt in Western countries. So countries like Canada, continents like Europe, the UK, the United States, Australia, all across the West. I mean, the whole entire global monetary system right now is definitely having a massive challenge on its hands in the sense that there is a lot of debt. And the bond market is the one that's essentially saying like, hey, we don't want to borrow, how do I say this? The bond that you're trying to sell me right now, I don't want to buy that bond at 5% interest because I'm not confident that you're going to be able to pay me back. Because the risk is higher than what you think it is, I don't want to get 5%, I want to get 7%, or I want to get 10%. That's essentially how it goes, right? So the point is, because this is something that we've been talking about today, the debt, and like this kind of ties back into last week, and it kind of everything tied in a little bit today with regards to the most recent budget that the budget that the Canadian Feds were supposed to release.
Yeah.
And I think that it was going to be so bad that Mark Carney essentially just said, you know what, let's pick our poison. I think it's going to be better if we don't release anything, because it's going to be like, first of all, any budget we release, we're not going to follow it anyways. Mm-hmm. And this is the other point, and I want to get your comment on this. It's just like, we've talked about this time and time again about austerity measures and the fact that governments need to be more responsible and more fiscally disciplined when it comes to actual debt.
Yeah.
Right? That's going to go over the head of most people. They're not going to understand. Like, a lot of people think that money grows on trees and just basically,
it kind of does if you're the government, though.
Until it doesn't. So it's like, I was listening to, I always talk about these guys, the Looney Hour, but like, there is no political will for austerity in the West. There's none. And in order to have austerity, you can't have one side of the aisle say, I'm going to implement austerity. And if the other side doesn't want to implement austerity, then they're just going to win the election, because the populace doesn't really understand like what's going on. So you have to have both sides of the aisle agree that, okay, we need to implement austerity. I'm of the opinion that it doesn't matter. The only way for austerity to be implemented, it won't be through political will. It will be forced upon by the bond market. And what do I mean by that? The bond market is eventually going to get to the point where they're not going to be able to, Canada, the US, all the West, they're not going to be able to sell the bonds. If they can't sell the bonds, the bond prices are going to plummet. When the bond prices plummet, the interest rates are going to spike up. Now, the governments and the central banks are going to have a big choice on their hands. What do we want to break? Do we want to break the currency, or do we want to let interest rates jack up?
Yeah.
If they let interest rates jack up, it's going to break the economy. And then this is the part in the financial media that I don't fully agree with them, is the sense that they think that interest rates are going to jack up. I don't think that's going to be the case at all. And I always listen to Ray Dalio, and Ray Dalio talks a lot about this. Whenever there's a choice between destroying the bond market or destroying the currency, history will show they'll always destroy the currency, because you can monetize it. So I think what's going to happen here, I mean, it's kind of the same. And this just leads me to my next point. Right now, I can't believe this. Nothing's going on right now. We're going into like a little bit of recession. As per Daigneault, they are going to the Canadian government is going to issue more debt this year than during the pandemic. But not just us, Elliot. The U.S. So like, what's going? This is not like, I'm not trying to pick on Canada. This is like a much bigger picture. So it's like, there is no more money. So they're going to issue more debt, which means they're going to try and sell more bonds. They're going to try and borrow more money. If they're going to try and borrow more money, but there's no buyer, well, either you go like, okay, there's no buyer, interest rates are going to spike up, or the central bank is going to come in and buy the bonds. If this is Chinese, for a lot of people that are listening, what my anticipation is, we have inflation coming through the pipeline real soon, because they are not going to let interest rates go up. The central bank is going to buy the bonds.
And if they do,
and in order to buy the bonds, they're going to print the money to buy the bonds. What's going to happen when they print the money to buy the bonds? That's going to cause inflation.
Yep.
And I'll give you one example. And sorry, I'm rambling on.
No, go ahead.
But just so if we just let's look at the real estate market here in Canada, which is always a great example. The real estate, as expensive as it is today, the real estate market here in Canada is down 18% from its peak in 2022, and is actually down 29% adjusted for inflation since 2022. So they already are monetizing the debt.
Oh, yeah. And you can see that easily by looking at the M2 graph, money velocity graph, right? So
can you send me the link? I'll pop it up.
Yeah. Here. Because it has... it went down a little bit. I'll just send it to you before I start talking about it.
So here, I'll pop it up.
Yeah, perfect. So just for the people watching, so that people understand, because M2, what the does that mean? All right, I'm going to break it down. Really basic, easy here. M2 is a metric that includes M1 plus. So what is M1? It's the most basic measure of money supply, including cash in circulation, checking accounts, and other highly liquid assets readily used for everyday transactions. So M2, that builds upon M1 by including savings account, money market accounts, and small denomination time deposits. So anything like CDs, like certificates deposits under $100,000. So why does it matter? Economists and central banks use M2 to understand the overall level of liquidity and spending power in an economy. Changes in M2 can be an indicator of potential inflationary pressure or economic slow down. Look at a graph and look where it's going.
Oh, this is the Fed.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not the Canadian Central
That's not
Bank.
Canada. That's the US.
And just for the audience, guys, whatever the Fed is like the king of the market. So whatever the Fed does, Canada's going to follow, and the rest of the world's going to follow. But I just want to point this out. If you look back at 2008, so we had the global financial crisis in 2008, we had the subprime crisis in 2008. The money supply was already increasing then. And then they're like, okay, we're just going to temporarily increase the money supply, and then we're going to buy it back. I'll never forget this one time. I was speaking to an economist from McGill at the pub. This was like years ago. And obviously, like, I'm not going to beat him on head-to-head combat, if you will, but head-to-head theoretical talk on the economy. He's going to dust me. He has a PhD, like he teaches at McGill. So, but he was just just like a classic McGill person. He dismissed me as if I was like an idiot. He's like, no, they're obviously they're pumping money in. They're going to take it back out after. Nothing's going to happen. Look at this. The money supply has continued to increase. But that being said, guys, the money supply is going to continue to increase. And right now, in Canada, so let's just focus on Canada, the money supply is also going to increase. And as per Daigneault, I'll repeat it again, they are going to issue more debt. The Canadian government is going to issue more debt this year than they did during COVID. What does that mean? They need to borrow more money than they did during COVID. Why? They don't have enough money to pay for the services, social services, welfare programs, and they don't have enough money to run the country, essentially. For sure. What does that mean? Now, there's one of two scenarios. I know I'm repeating myself, but there's one of two scenarios that can happen. We can either, A, because the bond market, so the people that want to buy the bonds are saying, hey, that interest rate that you're charging us right now, 5% or 3.5, whatever it is right now, that's not high enough. We wanted to have a higher number because we don't think you can pay back the debt at that interest rate. So if they don't buy it, there's one of two options. They can either just let the market figure itself out, which was going to tank the price of the bonds and drive interest rates up. If they tank the price of the bonds, in other words, if they break the bond market, that is going to be very, very bad for pension funds and for financial institutions. They don't want that to happen. Second option, the central bank prints the money. They print the money, they buy the bonds. When they buy the bonds, that's going to drive the price up. And what's going to happen next is that's going to keep interest rates down. However, in order to buy the bonds, they need to print the money. What happens when you print the money? Inflation comes up. So if you got, again, we've been hammering this point time and time and time again. Guys, Canada, anyone who lives in the West, if you think it's expensive to live now, if you think life is expensive today, wait. It's going to get more expensive. I know you don't like to hear this, but this is just the reality. And I'm not trying to be the bearer of bad news. I'm trying to actually just tell you how the system works. If you think it's expensive today to live, it's going to get more expensive in the near future and probably even more expensive over the next 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
This is just the reality. Like, I'm not saying this is right or it's wrong. This is what's happening. There's not enough money in the system for them to pay for all the things that they want to pay for. No, it's the reality. The money's not there.
We're so fucked.
The money's not there, but it's like, it's not just Canada, it's the West. And anything the Fed is going to do, like, there is something going on. I'll just take like a little tangent, like kind of this big beautiful bill, the big beautiful bill that they were supposed to pass. He actually called it the big beautiful bill.
I know. I mean, it did pass the House. Now the Senate might not.
It did pass the House, but again, like, there's no fiscal anchors, man. Like, it's just literally, it's so obvious. Like, the West is cooked, and what's going to happen moving forward, like, there's a lot of debt, man. And I'm sorry, I had a hunch. Doge is not going to fix this.
No, but at least they're trying to fix it. At least they've cut some things down. The problem is
they have, yeah.
Like,
you're
imagine,
right.
Cause look how bad it was. You can't fix something in 6 months that's been rotting for nearly half a century.
No, you're not wrong.
It's gonna take some time, but at least they're implementing measures. Meanwhile,
wrong.
in Canada, we're just saying F the measures.
Yeah. and then always here, like, this is always really interesting. Always I love to point this out. 1971. If you go to 1971, the gold standard. Like, look at, maybe here, let's see if I can go to max. Does it go further back?
That's the max right now.
That is? Okay.
Yeah.
I'd be interested because it's like, it was like, I'll bet you anything it's low, 1971, low, and then because they went off the gold standard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you see it now. 2020, we get it. It was a pandemic and shit, but like, look how much it inflated. But even then, look in
But we're high. The money supply is higher now than during the pandemic.
For sure, because you can see the quantitative tightening, the QT they did, right? When they raised the interest rates and everyone was going crazy.
That's barely a fucking tightening.
No, but this is exactly what I mean. People were freaking out. That's all we could talk about. The interest rates. I'm going to lose my house. My car's going to get repoed.
Yes.
Oh my God, I can't service my debt. Yes. Well, look, that pain you've been through, look how tiny of a dent it made. And now whatever you went through didn't matter because we're back to being over that.
Yeah, and I just want to say this too. So right now, if you go read the Globe and Mail, go read CBC, go read CTV, they're going to say, oh, interest rates are on the way down. Mm-hmm. They're not though. So interest rates right now, recently, yes, the Bank of Canada has dropped the interest rates. However, because of the bond market, and again, I'm not going to go through the whole explanation again, but because long-term interest rates, the bond market is, governments don't dictate the interest rates, the market does.
Yep.
And so right now, long-term interest rates are higher. So even the banks, if you want to go get a fixed 5-year or a 3-year fixed rate mortgage, higher, the banks are like, whoa, hold on. They don't want to give a rate that as low as it should be, historically speaking, because they're like, wait, if the interest rates seem to be going up right now. So what I'm trying to say is for all the people that have been dealt this bill of goods coming from legacy media that like, oh, interest rates are going to lower. Don't worry, you're going to be able to buy your house. The bond market is saying otherwise. That's
and that applies. That will apply only to the variable mortgages. That's a little bit more influenced by.
But fixed too.
No, but what I mean is that like, okay, so the variables are more influenced by the overnight rate or the central bank rate, right? Mm-hmm. So like when they say, oh, we've cut a quarter basis point or whatever, 1 basis point. That's going to influence your variable much more than your 5 because your 5 or your 10 is 100% predicated or mostly predicated by the bond market, like you said. And the bond market ain't to control the central bank, it ain't to control the government. It's the market that dictates it. And yeah, like you said, it did come down a little bit, but not nearly as much as the central banks have cut rates. Yeah. And like you said, now it's actually stagnating and could even start increasing again due to the pressures you've been mentioning.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And also too, just food for thought, the US, this is the first time in a long time that they just had their debt downgraded by Moody's, a rating agency, last week. So they just had their treasury bonds, they were just downgraded. And you know what? It'd be interesting because the last time they had their... This is a true story. Last time they had their bonds downgraded, they actually sued the rating agency. I'm not kidding. And then they put it back up to a AAA.
That's the prime example of bigger gun diplomacy.
Like you gotta love it. They legit. I mean, it is what it is. You know. It's like,
this is why it's hard for me to think the U.S. could ever default on anything. They just got more guns until a nation can militarily dominate the U.S., which right now you can say China's strong. Yeah, sure, but they lack power projection. That's the most important thing. You can be strong defense domestically, but look at Russia. Russia, impossible to invade Russia. You can never take over Russia. But we've seen, apparently, projecting power to their neighbor country, which is not even far, Ukraine, not as easy as it looks, right? Yeah. They've been having their issue on a much smaller country. Yeah. Now imagine China trying to invade the U.S. Impossible. Period. So the U.S. right now, but imagine the U.S. trying to invade any other country. They have the power projection. They have, okay, this is a fun little game I like to play. Do you know what the 4 biggest air forces in the world are?
United States.
Yeah.
China.
Okay.
Russia.
Uh-huh.
A Middle Eastern country?
Maybe.
India?
No. All of them wrong. It's going to blow your mind. The first one is the U.S. Air Force.
Okay.
The second one is the U.S. Navy. The third one is the U.S. Marine Corps. And the fourth one is the U.S. Army. Oh, wow. All of these branches of the U.S. military have more aircrafts than any other entire military in the world.
But if I'm going to play devil's advocate, I mean, right now, and we're seeing it in the war between Russia and Ukraine, I mean, war is changing for sure. All the drones and drone manufacturing capacity is way bigger in China right now than the United States.
For sure. But if you have, and this is the important thing about warfare, you have a principle called air superiority. When you have air superiority, that's the first thing the U.S. doctrine does, and this is why the U.S. has so many fighter jets, is that once you own the sky, you own the theater of war, right? You can do reconnaissance, you can do bombing, you can do strikes, you can do anything you want. You can do close air support to support your troops on the ground. You are invincible. So drones they're fucking scary as hell. It's true. The landscape of warfare has changed because of the drones. Again, if you have air superiority, the drones cannot operate freely in the skies. And that's the thing that Russia has not done in Ukraine. They have not established air superiority because, and I don't know their doctrine, but I know one thing is that Russia does have a better air force than Ukraine, but they have refused to use their newest fighter jets in Ukraine. They've used all their old shitty like MiG-29s and even like older MiGs because they don't want to use their brand new like Sukhois or their brand new MiGs. They're scared. Maybe it's because they lack production capacity. They don't want to scrap them. They don't want to damage them. Maybe they don't want to reveal their capability in combat because, let's be honest, the West and their intelligence agencies are scanning everything going on over there. I don't know. But there's no air superiority right now over the skies of Ukraine. Hence the drones being able to operate freely on both sides, by the way. But imagine a war where the US owns the skies as they normally do. Any adversary drone would be shut down in no time. So something to keep in mind.
If this is, I want to get on to AI on the next thing. Shem, I think this is a good place. Guys, it's the first time we're ever trying this. And to be honest, like we put a lot of effort into like the AI infrastructure and the AI war. And I want to get into how important energy is and how important of a role Canada has in helping out the United States to actually defeat this and the consequences if we don't do this. I think now is a good time to jump into the Patreon side. I think it's perfect. So here, look, guys, if you guys want to continue the rest of the podcast, we're going to be hopping over onto Patreon. The podcast just going to continue. It's the first time we're ever trying this. If you hate it, please let us know in the comments. If you love it, please let us know in the comments. But again, it does cost us a lot of money to run this stuff. So your support would be appreciated if you could send it our way. And if you don't want to listen to us, then that's fine too. You don't have to listen to us either. So
it's a small low $8 a month, right? Yeah. So think about it. It's less than a coffee a week. Canadian.
Oh
my God, Monopoly. It's less than
Monopoly money.
It's less than 8 Canadian pesos a month. All right, so guys, support us. It's going to go a long way.
Yeah,
and it's also going to help fund some initiatives we're taking, including what you're going to be seeing soon enough.
The vlog style. I can't wait.
But we're going to be stepping outside of the studio and taking a little bit more of a on the field, in-field approach behind the scenes.
Investigative journalism.
There you go. We're going to put CBC to shame. So, yes, please support, guys.
And I can't wait. Like I was speaking to my mom about this the other day, and she's just saying, she's like, I go, Mom, the day CBC comes to smear us, I'll know we're doing a good job.
Yeah. We'll know we're over the target then. Right?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, that's it. If you guys liked it, check us out on, just give us a thumbs up and subscribe.
Subscribe, share, and whatnot. And we're going to hop over now to Patreon for the cool guys.
Thanks again for joining us on Patreon. So we got, this is something that's actually really important. And I don't think Canadians understand how important it really is. Okay. A lot of times people are and I really feel passionate about this because I do think it is a grave concern. If we don't extract our energy, so on the one side, you're going to have the peacekeepers or the whatever you want to call them, the tree huggers and all that kind of stuff, where they're essentially like, well, no, if
the Gilbos.
Yeah, the Gilbo. Well, they're ideologues. I'm talking, but there's like, because you have ideologues that are actually just trying to shove their ideology down your throat. I don't think they actually believe in anything. But then you have another big cohort of the population. They truly believe that they want to keep their children alive for the next generation. Yeah. Like it's coming from a good place. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think they're misguided.
Yeah, it's misguided.
You know, and that's actually like not what's going on. So right now, what actually needs to be happening is we need to be extracting as much energy as possible. Why? We need to be extracting as much energy as possible to help the United States with this AI infrastructure war. If we lose, by we, I mean the United States and the West. If the United States loses the war, or the race, I should call it, for AI superiority in the world, China is going to have military dominance. They're going to have economic superiority. They're going to have technology dominance. And what would a world dominated by China look like? I mean,
dystopian as fuck.
Well, if you ask me, I prefer individual rights over collective rights. Yeah. I don't like the way, I don't agree with the way that how China runs things. And I think people need to truly understand that we need to absolutely unleash energy in North America and make it as cheap as possible. As per Elon Musk, he literally just said last week, he thinks as early as next year, they are going to run out of energy to be for their data centers, for their AI data centers.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's crazy, but like the All In podcast, they have been pounding their fists and banging the table saying like, this is a real thing. And Chamath Palihapitiya, he keeps coming, he's a tech guy. He fully understands. He's like, guys, if we don't unleash everything, he's like, I'm talking everything, natural gas, nuclear, wind, solar, oil, hydrocarbons, coal, whatever it is. He's like, this race is so much more important than you actually think. And I'm of the opinion that right now, as Canadians, we need to help the United States. You might not like the United States, but I'll tell you what, I would much rather live in a world that has United States influence as opposed to a Chinese influence.
Well, it's easy. Look at the last 100 years. Has the last 100 years led to some of the biggest technological advancement, quality of life improvements, overall poverty decrease, life expectancy increase, you name it. It's been amazing. Well, that's been under American hegemony. Mm-hmm. Hegemony?
Yeah, hegemony.
Hegemony or hegemony?
Tomato.
I think that I know definitely Elon is very aware of, because Elon is a fucking geek and I love it. I'm deep down set a nerd as well.
Well, just to say this, to add on to that point. Yeah. So basically I forget what state he was in, but the state said, hey, your data center is going to use up too much energy. So what he said is, okay, fine. So he's building his own natural gas power plant. Yeah. And now this is the environmental concerns and all that kind of stuff. I think the federal government is going to basically wipe that by the wayside. Because, again, people, it's like, what's the bigger point I'm trying to do here? There's a back in the day when there was like the U.S. against Russia, the people of America were like behind the cause. Yeah. And the people of today in the West are not behind the cause. And I think it's because they don't fully understand what's actually going on. And like this race for AI superiority is very important. Mm-hmm. It's very, very important. And so for him doing like for the fact of the matter of for a state to actually just be like, okay, well, no, you're not allowed to do that because you're just going to be making a bunch of money off it. It's like, no, we need the West and the United States need Elon Musk for space. They need him for AI. They need him for so many things.
Okay. Another thing that people don't get about AI is it was leaked recently that, I wish I knew exactly what it is. I could look it up, but I don't want to right now. There is a group, I think they're like senior engineers or senior executives at one of the biggest AI company. Over the last few years, they've been using company resources to build bunkers in the event that AGI, right? Artificial general intelligence, basically like intelligence smarter than human nature, was to take over, and they're just not good-hearted like we think they could be. Yeah. A company that's building AI right now also secretly built bunkers because they realize and recognize that it could backfire on us. You know, like the whole Terminator, like fucking Skynet becoming aware and nuking us. So what I'm trying to say is that who do you want, again, programming that AI? China or the US? I'd rather the US. Yes. That's number one. Elon, incredibly smart guy, he understands a principle called the Kardashev scale. Have you heard of that?
I have not, no.
See, energy is more than just like, oh, we need it to power X, Y, Z. We need it for our car. We need it for lighting our homes. Energy defines literally the scale of a civilization. So this Kardashev scale is how you rank a civilization, either type 1, type 2, or type 3. As it stands right now, where do you think humankind stands? Type 1, type 2, type 3 civilization?
I'm not sure.
Not even a type 1. We're what's called like a type 0.5, because a type 1 civilization is able to access all the energy available on its planet and store it for consumption. Then comes a type 2. A type 2 civilization can directly consume a star's energy, most likely through the use of a Dyson sphere. And this is not like science fiction. This is like legit fucking physics stuff, and they're planning for the future. And then type 3 is able to capture all the energy emitted by a galaxy and every object within it, such as every star, black hole, and celestial bodies. So when you really think about how important energy is, we're not even scratching the surface of how much it's important for us to extract energy. We're not even at a point where we've extracted all or capable of harnessing all the energy on our planet, let alone our star system.
Not even close.
You know?
Not even close.
So ultimately, right now, saving the planet, but the thing is this too, and maybe this is alarmist as fuck, but every 250,000 years, every 200 to 250,000 years, there is a asteroid big enough to wipe out all civilization that comes around, right? No, for real, this is true. The last one that came around, right, wiped out the fucking dinosaurs. that was over 250,000 years ago. We're overdue for it. We're long overdue for it. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow, but the reality is this. If it does happen, statistically, which it does, you're going to want a civilization that can handle it, or else we're going back to the Stone Age.
Yes.
Okay? So using energy is kind of like a natural progression of human nature, and always being like, well, we need wind, we need solar. No, we need it all.
We need it all.
We need it all.
And I like, just to add to that point, like, you're not saying, oh, shut down the solar, shut down the wind. It's like, no, we need all.
Oil, charcoal, nuclear, solar, wind, hydro, you name it. Geothermal.
We need to make energy as cheap as possible in order to compete in this AI race with China. That is a fact.
Yes.
We need all of it. And again, it's like, I'll repeat myself. People are misguided. They think that this is going to, like, we're going to destroy the planet, we're going to kill ourselves. All right, that's fine if you want to actually think that. But like right now, if we lose this, if the West, and by the West I mean the United States, if they lose this race with China, it's not going to be good. The world is going to look much, much, much different if China becomes the superpower. Which, and by the way, they are winning this race because they are able to, by the snap of their fingers, say, I want to open up 318 coal plants, which they're doing. I want to open up natural gas. I want to open up this. I want to have nuclear plants. I want to do everything. And for us, we get in our own way. And so it's like, and this is where, just as a Canadian and as a Westerner, as a person who values my freedoms that I have, as much as they've been eroded, I feel, over the past decade, I would say. But like, I would much rather be part of a Western culture because this is what I grew up in.
Yep.
I like being Canadian.
You don't want to eat chopsticks.
I
fucking racist.
No, but like, no, but I
well, we're on Patreon. We can say what the fuck we want, right?
No, but I like being part of the West. I enjoy our freedoms. Yes. I don't want to have a collective society, and Canada is definitely more collective than the United States, but like, I still like my individual freedoms.
Absolutely.
And like, I don't think people actually understand the consequences if we lose this AI race to China. I don't think they understand it. But the second part, again, I think we're hammering this home pretty well. Guys, we need to have number one, abundant energy and as cheap as possible if we are going to compete in this AI race with China.
Absolutely.
This is very, very important. Absolutely.
Plus, let's be honest, I'm sure the rippers in China are not as good.
They're probably not. I don't like Chinese girls. No, sorry. Sorry, I'm not attracted to them. I'm not attracted to Chinese women. I have a girlfriend. I'm not attracted to Chinese women.
You're allowed to have preferences.
I'm not attracted to Chinese women.
Me, it's fed girls.
Oh, wow. This is getting raw. It's Patreon, baby. Okay. But so here.
This is the kind of fun we could actually have, by the way.
Yeah. Just go like fully raw.
I know.
But it's like.
There's a comment to be made about that.
Yeah, but it's like. I don't know. So, and just that point being said, so it's like, here, let's go here. Politico news. No, let's go here. Caucus. I mean, I don't really have, do I have any specific examples right now? I don't have any specific examples, but it's like one of the biggest things, just essentially, I do like the rhetoric. Again, rhetoric. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if they're actually going to act on it, but I do like what I'm hearing from the Liberal Party thus far, and especially the fact whenever Mark Carney tweets, again, it's a tweet, so I'm not going to put that much faith into it, but is essentially saying, yes, we need to extract our energy. We need to build the infrastructure, the energy infrastructure. It's very important. Are they going to do that? Remains to be seen. But I think it's even more important than we think. And I think it kind of ties back into the conversations we were having weeks ago, where I don't see a better example of Canada and the US being able to work together now more than ever because we have abundant energy in Canada.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I really, truly feel passionate about this, and I want Canadians to understand the consequences if we don't act on extracting all this energy. I really feel it's a lot more important than people actually think.
Yep, absolutely.
If we lose this AI race, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. And you know, I think too about China is they have, and this is not conspiracy theory, they have the social credit score. You know, that shit's scary. It's not implemented nationwide, but it's implemented in some areas, and they will eventually put it nationwide. It's at a point where, I mean, thanks to AI, which is only going to aid and abet in such a thing, you're tracked everywhere you go, every single interactions you have with humans, every single purchases you make, every step of your life is tracked and graded based on how it conforms to what the party, the CCP, wants you to be. And then you get perks or not perks, rewards, or you get penalties based on where you rank. Penalties can be as much as you're not allowed to take the bus, you're not allowed to fly, you're not allowed to leave your city.
Can't take a shit.
Can't take. Can hold it in. You're allowed one flush a month. Well, I mean, which is still probably
that
better.
would be brutal.
Yeah, but
imagine they get to that point. I wouldn't put it past them.
Curtis, it's still better than India.
We're really going raw here.
They just don't flush because they don't have toilets. That's going to be Canada soon enough.
And here, I'll just, so speaking on this, so like at this point here, so from Ben Rabideau, aka Bob Sacamano, and I've said this before, so they refer to him the Looney Hour as Bob Sacamano. I'm going to take credit for that, Ben, because I DM'd you on LinkedIn and called you Bob Sacamano because you're always the guy that they talked about, but you can never see the face. It's like, from Kramer and Bob Sacamano. Anyways, so low-hanging fruit right here. So if you look at the largest global liquid natural gas LNG exporters by country, the United States, 92.9, Australia. Anyways, if we just take a look at the graph, I'll open it up for you guys here. Canada's at 0. And as Justin Trudeau said 3 years ago, I don't see a business case for this. I mean, anyways, he's gone, thank God. And this was in response to Mark Carney's tweet. It's time to make Canada an energy superpower. So again, this is where I'm going to be bullish. Again, I'm back on my bull side. I'm not being a bear this week. I hope I'm right. And this is low-hanging fruit for Canada, for ourselves as a nation to make a bunch of money, to help out the United States in this fight or this race against China with regards to AI. This is important, man. It really is important. And people that don't understand this, again, I think they're just misguided. I don't think they're actually trying to, yes, there are the Stephen Guilbeault ideologues who are, they follow, I don't know what they follow. They follow this mantra of we're all going to die, so therefore we need to do X. I don't agree with that. But I think a lot of people are misguided by that. But they actually are good intention. They just think that they're trying to save their children. For us, my argument is, guys, I don't want to live in a world that China dominates because we lost the AI race, because we couldn't get our act together and extract all the energy or sell the energy to the United States.
And we have so much to extract. Another thing too, why not? Why don't we build nuclear power plants in the Great North? We're so scared of nuclear, but why don't we just shove it up north? First of all, it's going to be great for cooling. Yeah. Right? Because you need the reactor cores to be cooled, so that's easy. And then after that, if there is a Chernobyl or whatever, you're far away. You're good. I mean, I don't know. Nuclear is great. I think we should build more nuclear. Yo, that video, by the way, yes, it popped up on my feed. Yeah, so I want to see this. And again, this just adds to my bullishness. Again, I'm completely speculating. Maybe this is true. Maybe this isn't. So I actually love this. So it's a 20-second clip from Canada Proud. We'll go to the beginning. So it's Mark Carney and Melanie Joly. It says, so the caption is, Mark Carney shoos away Melanie Joly away when she tries to talk to him. So if you look here, it's actually pretty good. Watch. He literally says, get the f*** out of here. I mean, I would have said the same thing to her. She seems so f***ing annoying. And arrogant. She seems annoying. I honestly, I can't stand her face, although she is the most bangable of all the politicians. You know Trudeau's banging her. What you think, bro? There's a photo of them. Okay, number one, I got not from a super reliable source. They're having sex with each other. Okay, cool. There was a clip. This is a full blown real photo on Twitter. Yeah. Back in the this is probably 6-8 months ago. After the separation with Trudeau's ex-wife. Yeah, Sophie. They were holding hands. Yeah, I think absolutely that she was probably sleeping with Justin Trudeau. I'm surprised because I thought it was Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh, but whatever. Fuck, I was convinced. But the point I was going to make about this is, and which leads into my last point about here. I know you have a different opinion on this, but it's Mark Carney, is he standing up? Okay, think about it this way. It's the same team.
So it's like it's like the same class of kids. So you know, sometimes they have a class of kids, they run the show, and they and then like a teacher gets pushed out because they weren't doing a good job or whatever it is. Then a new teacher comes in, the new teacher gets pushed out as well. And I think he's finally the teacher to come in and basically be like, I'm not going to put up with your guys' shit.
Could be.
And so the fact is, again, speculation, maybe I'm completely wrong.
See, the way I look at it, and I'm at the absolute opposing end, because look, you are the teacher, except you're not forced to deal with these kids. You're actually more like a coach who gets to pick and choose anyone on your team. So if you think this person is so bad or so annoying or so whatever, why did you, one, choose her to be on your team? And two, if you did choose her to be on your team, why don't you respect her enough to give her time of day? I've never seen a good leader, that treats someone with such contempt. That looks like contemptuous, contempt.
It's arrogance.
Yeah. It just looks like, again, it feeds into what I mentioned before. My insider friend who has heard and known that Mark Carney behind closed doors is an incredibly arrogant kind of, I'm the only one who knows the truth attitude. I don't want to listen to anyone else. I'm the one who runs the show, right? And well, this plays into it. So I still think I can't stand Carney and his attitude. And you've seen it come out as well with his patronizing attitude towards reporters who dare.
Even CBC reporters.
Yes, who dare question him on things that perhaps, are normal to be questioned about.
So what would be your opinion of Mark Carney if, let's say, for example, let's say we fast forward 1 year and he actually did fast track a bunch of LNG projects and pipelines and data centers.
Yeah.
What would be your opinion of him then?
Okay, it depends.
Would it improve?
I'll say the following. 3 things. It's a 3-part answer. Number 1, it depends how he implements it. Does it just benefit Brookfield or does it benefit Canada? Okay, no, for real. If it fully just benefits Brookfield, then sorry, same shit. If it honestly is a pretty good deal for Canada, then I'll give him credit for that. The same way I've given credit to Trudeau, although it was just a money fucking racket for legalizing marijuana.
I think it was just dumb.
Dumb. I can give credit. Look, I can disagree with a party, but still give credit for a good move. Look, I'll give credit to Justin Trudeau. During the pandemic, his CERB and his CEWS and whatever, all the programs he put in place, he was fast to act. They ended up, being pretty poorly ran down the line, but the speed, the scale and the speed of the pace of implementation was actually fantastic. Imagine they managed to,
because it polls well politically.
Well, it did, and it just goes to show, by the way, government can do anything it wants if it wants to, right? Like the budget, it's too long to make a budget, but you managed to create a program that pays every fucking company's salary and everyone who's lost their jobs, whatever. There's a way, but so I've given credit to Trudeau for that because I think it was very well, or at least fast, implemented in a critical time. Now, mind you, due to his own government's decision to shut down the economy, but I digress. So if he does it, so if Carney implements all these policies for energy, if it benefits Canada, I'll give him credit, absolutely, for that. Now, my image of him is based on multi-facets. It's not just energy, it's not just the economy. But if he turns out to be a okay leader,
pragmatic and competent,
I will give him credit. I am not opposed to changing my mind. I am not, and I hope I'm not, an ideologue like Guilbeault, for example. I think I'm data-driven and I'm facts-oriented.
I would say you are too.
So
and I'll back you up here. Like, you haven't seen any concrete proof as of yet to lead you to believe that he actually will bring the Liberal Party back to the center. And I get it. But and I'm happy with your answer because you're essentially saying, like, I'm a bit more, I am more bullish about him. I'm still not, I don't fully trust him, but it's like I admire your skepticism, where it's essentially like, look, man, if you actually end up doing X, Y, Z, I'll give you the credit for it.
Of course.
But like, you've said a lot, you haven't done anything yet. So I get it.
And that's the one thing. There's fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Yeah. The Liberals have been all talk and no balls, no actions, no nothing for ever long as I can remember. It's always been talk, right? Lip service. They're really good at it. And this is why I think they pull well with people, because people care more about words than actions, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, they care more about emotions. And and here's the last point here. So it's just like Canada's Liberals are already thinking about how to remove Mark Carney. Mm-hmm. It's not personal. So in this article from Politico, they don't identify any members of Parliament because apparently this is taking place behind closed doors in the caucus. But I would just, it kind of leads me to my earlier point. So him shooing away Mélanie Joly.
Yeah.
And it leads me to just believe, and again, I don't, you disagreed with me, and that's fine, but this makes for good radio. So it's like kind of, when I don't want the party, it's kind of the same thing that happened in the United States. So the Democratic Party, would you agree, hijacked the president?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like it was obviously not Joe Biden making the decisions, and then the people at the end of the day, like, you know, they were the one, they voted for Joe Biden. And Joe Biden wasn't the one running the country. Agree?
Sure. Yes.
So I think passing a law or legislation like this, where essentially the MPs would be able to kick out the prime minister, it's kind of like a coup d'état almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the flip side to that is that it's also the party that implemented, or that appointed, if you wish, the prime minister for at least a month.
But it's the people that elected. The people don't elect the party; they elect the prime minister.
Exactly my point. And yet we had
is that? But I don't understand.
We had a prime minister for over a month that was appointed, that was installed. If it works on one side, why can't it work on the other side?
Yeah, that's why.
That's the only thing. And also, it parallels something in the U.S., the 25th Amendment in the United States Constitution, that allows the cabinet to dismiss the president in the event of his incapacitation, and or if they have a majority of them that deem him to be unable to fulfill unfit. That's the word. Yeah, unfit to fulfill the duties of the office. Mm-hmm. It emulates that. It's similar. You know, I'm not against it. The problem is because, like, but at the same time, there's already a way for the parliament to dismiss the prime minister by a non-confidence vote. So that already exists.
Fair enough.
You know, so I mean, we already have
it. I guess this is just legislation to make it even easier, just to kick him out.
Could be.
I mean, the article, I'm going to be honest, the article is kind of bullshit. It's just, hey, they're going to kick him out, and they're like, we can't name anyone that said they're going to kick him out. They're going to have a silent vote, and we don't know who it is. So it's like, all right, cool, great article.
That I'm not for. I'm not for anything that's done in secret. So a question for you, actually, because we didn't even touch about that. We have a historical moment right now going on.
What's that?
What is this historical? This is, oh my God, we're living through something, Curtis. The king is in town. The king is in town, guys.
To be honest, I don't follow any of that.
The king of Canada. Well, there we go. That was my question. Yeah. Do you think that's a good move for the king to come? Or do you think this is going to embolden people and say, you know what, fuck the monarchy, we need a republic?
I don't know enough about it, to be honest.
No.
What's your opinion on it? Because it's you're good. I mean, like, I know we're a British, a former British colony from 100 and whatever years ago and stuff. So but I don't think Canadians put much thought into that.
No, well, that's the thing. It costs us money, so why do we continue?
We have to pay for a trip.
Oh yeah, we send a plane and shit. He stepped onto a Canadian Air Force plane because he's the King of Canada right now.
Yeah.
At this very moment, it's His Majesty, the King of Canada.
It's all tradition, I guess.
Well, it is tradition, but at the same time too, I mean, we have to pay the salary of a Governor General. We have to upkeep the palaces, Rideau Hall, the Citadel in Quebec. We got to pay for the staffers. We got to... all this pomp and all the whatnot costs money. Now, not that much, but still.
I guess it's like, I think a lot of it just comes down to, it's like, I'm going to go back to my main point, just like the bigger point. I think a lot of it's just like media attention and a bunch of crap right now. And I think Canada is like a small cog in the wheels of a bigger global economy. And the bigger thing is just, I hope that as a country and as Canadians that we can actually do our duty and actually help out the United States to help win this AI race. I honestly liken this race to the same as back in the day when it was the United States against Russia, United States against China. China definitely has a massive advantage because they are building up all this energy.
Yeah, it's a Cold War, but a AI technology.
And by the way, for like we're winning the United States are winning the AI race right now, but China is definitely building more energy capacity than the United States. Energy is on pace to be cheaper than the United States and more abundant than the United States. And if that's the case, they are going to win the AI war.
But there's also another point that we don't talk a lot about, but it could also tip the scales, and it's the quantum computing.
I don't know a lot about that. Well,
because the thing is this, right? If whichever country comes up with the first quantum computer, like a real quantum computer, right? Like, it breaks the world as we know it.
Because what the encryption means nothing at that point. What happens to? I always thought about this. What happens to blockchain?
What blockchain? What happens to your bank account?
Yeah.
What happens to the SWIFT network?
Yeah.
What happens to military intelligence communication? What happens to the nuclear codes of fucking missiles?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Like, this is
the blockchain. That's the least of our worries. All right.
Yeah.
Everything we know of right now is based on being able to encrypt data and protect access to incredibly sensitive things. Right. What happens? Well, again, better hope that it's in the, I don't want to call it the industry,
an ally,
but you have white hats and you have black hats. Okay, white hats are good guys. They're like the white knights, and you have the black hats. These are the insidious forces of the world. So better hope that the first to break the quantum computing challenge or problem is a white hat and not a black hat, because it will, especially if there's no other white hats with the same capability. It's like when the U.S. developed the atomic bomb. There was a delta of time where the U.S. was reigning supreme in the world. Russia was on the way to develop one. They were like a few months away, but for that period of time, the U.S. could have taken over the entire world. And they did discuss it. Some people within the U.S. government was like, now's the fucking time. We can just take over the fucking world. They chose not to. Good, that's what I mean. White hats. But they had that period of time where they could have destroyed any adversary. Yeah. So that's going to be the same thing with quantum computing. What happens is this: all encryption goes to shit. Right now, one of the strongest encryption, or the strongest kind of common encryption we use is SHA-256. All right, the world's most powerful supercomputer right now would still take millions of years to break that encryption. All right, and this is not like this or that. We're talking like a building full of computers. Well, a quantum computer could probably do it in half a fucking second. So that's what I mean. We're fucked if it comes out and we're not prepared for it. And right now, to understand what it means, computer versus quantum computer. A normal computer, all right, operates on bits. All right, a bit is a 0 or a 1, basically, right? So a piece of information can be yes or no, black or white, on or off, 0 or 1. Everything is based on zeros and ones. Put 8 zeros and ones together, that becomes a byte. Put 1,000 byte together, that becomes a kilobyte. Put 1,000 kilobyte, it becomes a megabyte, and a gigabyte, terabyte, et cetera, et cetera. All right. A quantum computer works on qubits, quantum bits. Instead of a byte being 8 zeros or ones, it happens to be all of them all at once. It can be anything at any moment. It is effectively superimposed. It could be, it's like the Schrodinger's equation, right? Until it's observed, it can be either or. So that's the beautiful thing about quantum, is that instead of having to process information in a linear fashion, okay, so we're going to go, we want to try to decrypt an encryption, right? So we're going to try to brute force it. We're going to try 1. No, 1 doesn't work. 2. No, 2 doesn't work. 3 doesn't work. No, it can do all of them at once. Pop, done. Jeez. And that's like one operation. So that's, we're not there yet. You're going to hear the news sometimes say, oh, quantum computer, Google this, Microsoft that. They're not true quantum computing. They exhibit some form of quantum mechanics in their operations, but it's not yet a quantum computer. Not even close. So, but when it happens, man, that's
you could tell you work in tech.
Well, that's scary. That's the scary thing, because AI is huge, but now imagine AI powered by quantum computers. Bow.
I mean, like, okay, we got to wrap it up. Okay, we're wrapping up. All right, guys, our Shem's telling us that we need to wrap it up. And, I think this is a good time to wrap it up because it's 5 o'clock, and I think he's saying to wrap it up because
he wants to go home.
We're ramming on too on, and he wants to go home. So you know what, guys? This is the first ever Patreon, so we hope you guys enjoyed. Elliot, thank you as always, and if you guys like this, subscribe,
share, talk to your girlfriend about it.
Yeah, send it over to a friend, and we'll see you next time. We appreciate you.
Booyah. Kiss, kiss. Puss, puss.